This house would heavily tax manufacturing corporations that automate a majority of their workforce. Now, what is automation? Well, automation is the process of utilizing computer programs, robots, or any other processes to ease the production process, ultimately cutting away the usage of humans in the gears of production. This forced mass exodus of human workers will cause many issues, not only for society but also for the government itself. There will be many social unrest. Chaos and suffering will spread throughout the nation. Now, a simple fix to not only deter mass automation by these corporations while also being able to support the common man and the people in general is by employing heavy taxation. This house firmly believes that heavy taxation is the best solution to the problems of automation. First of all, as I've said before, automation almost completely removes humans from the production process and will therefore cause a mass unemployment crisis if it is not well regulated. For countries with large populations in particular, such as China or Iran or our own country of Indonesia, the ensuing mass unemployment crisis can lead to horrible repercussions, such as, but not limited to, crime rates to skyrocket due to the desperation of unemployed people to not only feed themselves but their family, nationwide social unrest or revolts and protests to happen in order to force the government to fix their unemployment issues, as well as lowering consumer spending and overall national economic growth, and more. With the loss of these job opportunities, where in some cases entire towns depend on a single corporations to employ most of their workforce, usually in a certain factory, these can cause an entire region's economic ecosystem to collapse. With heavy taxation, corporations will need to think about their societal role compared to the benefits of automations. Ultimately deterring sudden mass automation from happening. And if heavy taxation isn't implemented, it will cause many corporations, or at least well-established corporations, to start a race towards the quote-unquote bottom. As in, it will incentivize these corporations to automate as much and as soon as possible to see how much cost they can reduce or just outright remove. This can and will kickstart a chain reaction that could destroy the entire economical state of the country and makes the negative impacts of automation, as I've stated before, hit even harder and with more severity. Second of all, automation is a tool for the rich to get even richer. These capitalist elites do not need that money now, do they? Their money could instead be used by the country and the government for the betterment of the people. With heavy taxation, the government is able to narrow the gap between the rich and the working class, as well as help decrease the poverty rates in the country and the overall welfare of the common man. This will help the people out by implementing subsidies, enhancing public infrastructure, and help fund education, as well as using the tax money gathered from these capitalist elites to do other stuff. And last but not least, heavy taxation not only helps the common man out, but it also helps in keeping the healthy competitive nature of the economical manufacturing market and stops monopolies from easily happening. Because automation requires a very, very large sum of beginning capital to even implement, this causes smaller corporations and businesses to be unable to compete with the corporations that are already well established and have already set up an automated production line. Now, these smaller businesses that often, or rather always, employ human workers cannot keep up with the large corporations that make a similar product that produces product of similar quality for a cheaper price and in larger numbers. And because of this inequality, it will cause smaller businesses to have to have an incredibly hard time to break into a market and lets the large corporations to set up monopolies. If left to grow uncontrolled, these monopolies could even be dangerous for not only other businesses, but for the country or the nation itself, because of how rich these corporations can be. Without the proper taxation, they can pretty much control an entire nation. A real world example of this is Samsung. With how successful and rich Samsung is, it has basically controlled a very, very large chunk of Korea's politics, pretty much making Korea, or rather South Korea, Samsung's own country. So, in summary, corporations that employ automation should be heavily taxed, not only to deter mass and sudden automation that ends up practically deleting a very large amount of job opportunities, but also to hold up social welfare and the overall contentness of the people if automation does even happen. And last but not least, to prevent monopolies and prevent corporations to conquer even entire nations using their wealth.